Hello, welcome to the Marchanaut Show, the cybersecurity show. In this video, let's break down how the NSA hacked Huawei. However, I'm going to provide some real example code snippets, right? So this is going to be a technical breakdown, all right? So without further ado, let's get right into it. We're going dark. So Operation Shotgiant was a covert cyber espionage campaign that was run by United States National Security Agency, the NSA, targeting the Chinese telecommunications giant Huawei. So the operation, first revealed by documents that was leaked by Edward Snowden in 2014, had several, key objectives and basically involved significant technical capabilities. Now, the whole objective of Operation, Giant, right? Shotgiant, whatever this is, right? Was to determine Huawei's links to the Chinese government, right? A major goal was to investigate whether Huawei had direct ties to the Chinese military or intelligence community, specifically the People's Liberation Army. So the NSA sought evidence that Huawei functioned as a front for the Chinese state interests, right? Then there was the access of intelligence via the Huawei infrastructure. So the NSA aimed to understand Huawei's technologies, such as its routers, switchers, and other network hardware, to be able to exploit its equipment when deployed in other countries. So the intent was to use Huawei's products as potential entry points for global signals intelligence and, if needed, to enable offensive cyber operations in nations that brought from Huawei instead of US firms. Let's get into some technical analysis paralysis here, right? So, there was the initial access. So the attack likely used a spear phishing, messages containing malicious links. When clicked, these links redirected targets to custom web pages built to exploit vulnerabilities in popular browsers. There was the Fox Acid platform, right? One prominent tool that was mentioned in the Fox Acid, basically a platform capable of delivering browser-based exploits. Once a vulnerable system accessed a Fox Acid page, payloads basically could be deployed, to install persistent backdoors on the target devices. There was post-exploitation. So after gaining initial access, TAO operatives could intercept communications passing through Huawei's routers and infrastructure. They can monitor, collect, and exfiltrate sensitive data, such as an email, archives, or basically proprietary source code. They can modify traffic and effectively manipulate network operations within Huawei. After that was the exploitation of the prior IP. So according to reports, part of the access was enabled by prior knowledge stemming from legal disputes over code sourcing. Huawei's alleged use of Cisco's iOS code, giving the NSA a technical edge in penetrating Huawei's network equipment. There was an escalation of lateral movement. So once inside Huawei's network, the NSA could further exploit internal assets moving laterally to access executive emails, internal docs, and even source code repositories. So this with the broader objective of understanding Huawei's global footprint and identifying potential vulnerabilities for use in offensive or defensive cyber operations. So the goal was not only espionage, right? Listening to sensitive communications, but also to be in position to exploit Huawei's products used in other countries. Now, Peter, please put the code on the screen. So we have step one, which was, the target receives a phishing message with a link. Please keep that code on the screen, Peter. They have to have a really good look. Step two, the link opens a page that checks browser version. If vulnerable, it serves malware. Step three, the exploit runs in the browser, installs a backdoor or other, follow on the payload. Now, in regards to the results and the impact, the penetration of Huawei's networks, NSA gained access to servers at Huawei headquarters in Shenzhen, extracting information about the internal workings of the company's switches and routers, right? There was the collection of evidence and intelligence. So the NSA gathered details about Huawei's products, its internal communications, and information about its customers, especially foreign telecommunication firms using Huawei equipment. The search for links to the Chinese military, they were trying to connect the dots. So a primary goal was to investigate potential connections between Huawei and the People's Liberation Army, seeking to validate U.S. national security concerns about the company, right? So by understanding and potentially exploiting the infrastructure, there was global surveillance that was also in play, right, of the Huawei supplied networks, right? The NSA aimed to facilitate its own espionage operations through the systems and telephone networks that Huawei sold to other companies. Now, there was, impact, right? There was international and geopolitical impact. There was a public outcry and diplomatic tension, right? Once revealed, the operation caused significant diplomatic friction between the US and China, with China demanding explanations and condemning the apparent hypocrisy of the US given its own complaints about Chinese cyber espionage. There was the erosion of cybersecurity cooperation, so the public disclosure undermined ongoing US-China discussions on cybersecurity, accelerating mutual distrust and competition in cyber operations. There was an impact when it comes to perceptions of technological trustworthiness. So the incident reinforced US efforts to discourage allies from using Huawei's technology, citing security risks, right? Which is a stance complicated by revelations of similar US conduct. Now, the industry consequences was the legitimization of Chinese cyber espionage claims. So Chinese officials used the disclosure to justify their own cyber activities and push back against US criticism, fueling further tit-for-tat accusations in cyber relations. There was a chilling effect on international technology adoption. So the targeting of infrastructure, right? Vendors like Huawei highlighted the strategic vulnerability of global supply chains, increasing caution among multinational firms over foreign tech partnerships, right? So it was a whole bunch of things that was going on, right? So that's what I have for you today. Please take a moment right now to hit that subscribe button and the like button. If you appreciate this video and you want more videos like this, please let me know that by hitting that subscribe button and the like button. Also hit that notification bell so you are alerted when I upload new videos. I appreciate your viewership. Stay safe and see you on the next video.